I got some fan mail. Dear Josh, you are smiley face emoji, 100 emoji, hashtag totally lit. Please keep it up. That was handwritten too. Anyway, today I want to talk to you guys about some expressive techniques, namely bending and sliding on the Chapman stick. So to understand bending and sliding, we have to understand that it's part of legato technique. And legato stands opposite of staccato, which, if I remember correctly, legato is Italian for smooth and staccato is Italian for like short or sharp. And you can kind of hear the nature of the sound in the words, legato versus staccato, kind of like that. And you know, the most basic version of legato technique is doing hammer-ons and pull-offs. I'm just attacking the note once at the bottom, and then without lifting it up, not this. You know, there's no space in between. I just go directly to the note above it, like that. And then for a pull-off, I kind of flick a little bit with my finger as I pull it back to the lower note. And as I mentioned earlier, bending and sliding fall under the legato umbrella as well, because they are techniques that make your lines smoother and less choppy. So let's start with sliding. The technique itself is pretty simple. Really, you're just going to take your finger and you're going to play a note, and then without letting go of the pressure, you're going to slide into the note above it or below it that you're trying to go to. Like that. And when you're doing this, you kind of want to target where you're going beforehand. It's almost like, you know, kind of liken it to like throwing a ball or something. You're aiming somewhere specific. And you don't want to overshoot, you don't want to undershoot like that. Sliding has a bunch of different uses. One of my favorite uses for it is reaching notes that would otherwise be kind of an obnoxious stretch. Right, if I want to get there really quickly, it's pretty easy to slide rather than doing something like, I mean, I guess that's pretty easy too, but this is even, yeah, it gets messy, right? That's nice and quick. And all I'm doing is, as I move to the next part of the shape, I just slide up through it. And you know, this allows me to keep my hand nice and condensed. It allows me to travel this big broad stretch from here to there really quickly and easily. I don't have to stretch out awkwardly like that. I'm not flailing my fingers around. You know, the hard part about doing this, like that, with a first, second, fourth, and then you have to kind of squish your hand. It's totally possible, but it's just easier to slide. The other nice thing about sliding is it sounds cool. As opposed to... sounds a lot cooler to do it like this. In my opinion anyway, if I don't mess it up. And as I mentioned before, you know, it's kind of like throwing a ball. You're targeting where you want to go. You're playing your note, and then, you know, if I want to go from here to here, this major third there, then I'm playing the note and then immediately throwing my attention to my destination. Like that. And, you know, just focusing on my destination to slide into it. Obviously, the bigger the slide, the harder it is to aim. Like that. You know, if I want to go, it's the same concept. And same with going down. From here to here, I'm just aiming my finger. You can also slide full chord shapes and double stops. So the nice thing about the stick is that it does stuff like that really well. And to do this, you're going to basically want to play your shape and then lock your fingers in relation to each other as they are, right? You don't want to lose this shape. And then you're going to aim with the finger that is closest to where you're going. So if I'm doing this major shape and then down to that major shape, the closest finger to the second shape is my first finger, and that's what I'm aiming with. So I lock these three fingers together and then aim with my first finger to its new destination. Bam! You get the whole shape. Then because you've locked your fingers together, it pulls the whole shape with you. Now, as the frets get smaller and larger, you'll have to make subtle adjustments, but that's what practice is for, is getting used to the feeling of those adjustments. A really good example of this is I actually do like this octave melody in the solo in Gef's song Manifest Destiny's Child. It's the last song on our first album, and it winds up sounding really kind of slippery and slidey, and the whole thing is over this B tonality here, like that, and it winds up sounding like this. One more time. And so I'm doing that same thing where I lock my two fingers together to move that octave shape around, and I'm actually primarily aiming with my first finger the entire time, just because the octave shape is a little bit easier than chords. And if I don't add the slides, or I don't add the octaves, I take away one of the elements of that line, it kind of sounds weird and boring, right? Without the slides, it's going to be... It's just all like choppy and strange, and then without the octaves... I don't know, it doesn't ring the same way to me. So when you combine them both, it's got this really nice kind of like simmering heat to it, this meltiness, I guess. And I don't think that would be achievable without being able to slide double stops like that. It also works really well as an embellishment. Like let's say my target note is here, this high D there, and I'm doing something like a... All I did was, rather than... that's cool, but you can kind of add an extra little emphasis to the destination note by sliding a half step in. Like that, or even, a half step down. It just adds a little ta-da to it. Like, this is the note that we're traveling to, which I think is, an important thing to add some vocality to your stick playing. Another thing that you can do is you can do like a pull-off. Start at this note, pull off like a whole step down, and then slide back into the note. Kind of re-emphasizes the note in a different tone. Add a bit of a neat emphasis to things, like so. And another really important use that I've found for sliding is in optimizing your finger pathways. Going back to the reaching big stretches thing from the beginning of this video, this really helps with like playing a line that just doesn't quite sit super comfortably within a single hand location. But you still want to you still want to be able to play the line smoothly, and without jumping around a whole lot. So throw in some slides, and it'll really help to optimize it. And I think a good example of this is the left-hand part in the faster lick in Whole Body Headbang, which I also talked about in my finger pathways video, which you should go check out. But again, using slides to do that, the line is like so. Right, and you can see all of the slides that would make it, you know, if I were... If I'm not using slides, it becomes a much more awkward line, especially to play one-handed, as I'm playing chords in my right hand over that section the second time it comes back. So, and you know, the fun thing about this line is that it's going to transfer us nicely to bending, because it also contains some bends. You know, and you can see where the slides are that kind of shift the hands. That's what you're really looking for, is this shift in hand location. Right there. You know, that kind of stuff. And again, it would just be so awkward and difficult to play without those slides built in, setting me up for an optimal finger pathway afterwards.